please rest assured that I don't consider this to be a game. That being said, it's time to play the game. Earlier this year, I filmed a video in which I said that there was a war coming, kind of a cultural war, and that war would play itself out in like a lot of different ways, but one of the ways it was definitely going to play itself out was going to be YouTube, and it was going to be between those who describe themselves as feminists and those who describe themselves as men's rights activists.
You mean like how Steve Shives made a video where he implicitly supports the ideological purification of YouTube atheism and makes baseless accusations about other YouTubers being
the anti-feminists, the sexists, the misogynists,
and the sort of tribalism that has come to typify YouTube in the last 5 or so years has really intensified, especially with these two groups of people.
You are personally benefiting from the tribalistic mentality you're about to attack. So unless the words "I'm sorry, I will stop" pass through your lips at some point during this video, then there really is nothing more to say, because either one of two things has happened. Either you're a hypocrite, trying to have your cake and eat it too, or you have no idea that Steve Shives is waging an ideological war of tribalism that you are currently, right now, implicitly involved in.
No one's talking to each other anymore. We're all talking past each other. And nothing's being solved.
Thank you, first of all, but basically we're here to shut down an event that is promoting the patriarchy.
2 of my friends committed suicide, and I want the peace of understanding why that happened.
You should be fucking ashamed of yourself. You're fucking scum. You are fucking scum.
the anti-feminists, the sexists, the misogynists.
And why in ever-loving fuck do you think that is? Feminists are almost entirely to blame for every facet of this breakdown in communication. That is a fact that is understood whenever you see any anti-feminist or pseudo-MRA group try to have any kind of conversation outside of the predetermined feminist-controlled safe space.
It happened about 2 years ago. It was one after the other like that.
Did you expect to get some addressing of suicide issue at the talk too?
Yes, I did.
What I have to ask on that, and I'll ask you, is why this space to talk about that? There's, like, feminism, for example, offers lots of spaces to talk about mental health issues.
All of you guys can be sorry. I don't want to do that. This is a democracy still.
This is the difference between feminists and MRAs. MRAs, anti-feminists, and even other feminists like Christina Hoff Sommers and Kathy Young that just disagree with current feminist dogma have been having a dialogue this entire fucking time. And radical feminist fascists like you have been doing nothing but shutting down the debate, pulling fire alarms, lying and degrading anyone you don't see in your own tribalistic camp.
The anti-feminists, the sexists, the misogynists.
Regardless of whether or not you're a men's rights activist or a feminist, none of the problems that we perceive are being actually tackled or addressed. We keep drawing lines in the sand and daring the other side to cross.
I don't think he's a person that deserves to be taken seriously on this. I think he's a misogynist and a bigot.
And I don't know about any of you, but I'm getting heartily sick of it.
I agree with you entirely, so why don't you fucking stop? The impetus is entirely on you and, quote, your side, unquote, because feminists are the ones shutting down debates. Steve Shives is the one attacking Sargon as being a misogynist and a bigot. And I should give you some credit where it's due because you freely admit.
I found it very, very easy to just dismiss the men's rights activist movement. And I have been wholeheartedly guilty of being one of those people who just draws a line in the sand and dares you to cross it.
And I should come out and admit a few things myself. That I am in fact not a men's rights activist because I disagree with them on a few ideological grounds. I also really don't like Paul Elam and A Voice for Men because they don't behave in a moral, rational way. But Yuki, you have a huge disconnect from reality.
And every video by men's rights activists that I've seen on YouTube has essentially seemed like yet another episode of "We no longer live in the 1950s and it scares me."
It happened about 2 years ago. It was one after the other like that.
Did you expect to get some addressing of suicide issue at the talk too?
Yes, I did.
What I have to ask on that, and I'll ask you, is why this space to talk about that. There's, like, feminism, for example, offers lots of spaces to talk about mental health issues.
I'm looking for someone who's willing to leave all their preconceptions and all of their prejudices about feminism at the door. I'm looking for someone who is essentially willing to start from a completely clean slate.
The only way you could honestly say that you've never seen any good MRA video is if you've never decided to look outside of your own circle-jerking feminist tribe. And that is why the impetus is on you to change. You're the problem. I don't have a prejudice against feminism. Despite being an anti-feminist, I have a number of feminists and women's rights activists that I heavily admire for their incredible work in their respective fields, like Ayan Hirsi Ali, Kathy Young, and Christina Hoff Sommers, just to name a few. By the way, all of these women have been attacked, slandered, and harassed by feminists for simply disagreeing with modern feminism. The reason I dislike feminists and feminism is because what modern feminism is doing is bullshit, including but not limited to the National Organization of Women standing against shared parenting laws and feminists implementing affirmative consent laws in California, which is the exact same thing as denying men the presumption of innocence. By the way, being denied the presumption of innocence is literally oppression. Feminists are literally oppressing men on college campuses. You are literally benefiting from YouTube feminists' tribalism in the form of Steve Shive's endorsement. And you have the gall to ask people to come into a discussion with a clean slate and forget not just about what feminism has done, but what feminism and you are currently doing. You can't have your fucking cake and eat it too.